I really like Ghost Rider. Ever since I discovered the character in LEGO Marvel Superheroes, I've had this fascination with him. Compared to other Marvel characters, there's something different about Ghost Rider, something darker, more tragic. Over the years, I've mostly only known the surface info, but in the past couple years, I've become obsessed with this character. I got lost in the deep mythology of Marvel's supernatural corner, the inconsistency of Marvel Hell, and the several spirits of vengeance. I've read more Ghost Rider than I have any other comic book character, and the more I read, the more I realize that there are deep, persisting issues with the title. Today, I want to talk about the history and the curse of Ghost Rider. Warning for gore and stuff and scary stuff because of demons and all. Ghost Rider was introduced in Marvel Spotlight number 5 and later given his own series that ran for 73 issues. Branded as the most supernatural hero of all, Johnny Blaze was a motorcycle stunt rider whose paternal father, Crash Simpson, is diagnosed with colon cancer. Since it's the most sensible thing to do, Johnny sells his soul to the devil, Mephisto, in exchange for Crash's cancer to be cured, and it worked out perfectly fine. Except Crash died the next day performing a dangerous stunt, and Johnny is burdened with the spirit of a bloodthirsty demon and from now on will spend his life as the Ghost Rider, hunting down sinners and punishing them in the name of vengeance. Don't trust the devil, kids. This origin has pretty much stayed the same besides a couple of curveballs we'll get around to later. Though the original comics are noticeably less dark than most Ghost Rider stories, I didn't read many though because old comics are my kryptonite. Johnny was pretty popular, but it's in the 90s when Ghost Rider really exploded with the introduction of Daniel Ketch in a series that spanned 94 issues. How do I put this? Danny is better than Johnny by a lot. This era grounded Ghost Rider in a much more street-level and personal setting. Danny is a lot more likable and understandable. Instead of being an idiot and literally selling his soul to the devil, Danny never asked to be the Ghost Rider, making him immediately more tragic as he's saddled with a curse that consumes his life. Despite this, Danny really does want to do good. After all, if he has this power, he's obligated to save people. Very Spider-Man in that sense. He even teamed up with Spider-Man, which tells you just how popular he got. Danny was hot in the 90s, one of Marvel's most popular characters at the time. A lot of people still see him as the definitive Ghost Rider thanks to this era. There was even an animated series planned, with an animation test done that never got released. I'm convinced if this animated series was made, Ghost Rider would be one of Marvel's all-time popular IPs. But after the 90s, Danny does get mistreated, let's say. And Ghost Rider never really achieves the same level of popularity again. For how much I do like the 90s run, it's very good and defines the character, or at least the 31 issues I read because I don't have time to read 100 issues of one series. I do have a major problem, the first of my big gripes. This run really pushes the idea of the host and the spirit being completely different conscious beings. This sounds cool at first, but I think it really muddies the story and turns everything into a battle between the identities, which I just don't care for. My favorite GR stories are usually when the host and the spirit are blended and blurred, as it makes for a much more personal conflict. If you came here for Ghost Rider reading recommendations, I'll give you them now, since I'm going to spoil a lot of the stories I talk about. The 90s run is legendary, Road to Damnation is worth reading if you can stomach gore, Jason Aaron's run is essential and rebuilt the Ghost Rider title, and Benjamin Percy's recent run gives you a pretty good idea of where the character is in modern times. Now, the 2000s is a very interesting period for Ghost Rider as it marks the return of Johnny Blaze as Ghost Rider. I know I just talked a lot about how good Danny is and his run being legendary, but this era is why Johnny's my favorite Rider. I know, I'm basic. Peter Parker is my favorite Spider-Man. We start off with Ghost Rider the Hammer Lane. How's Johnny Blaze's big return to the page? Meh. It's not very notable besides actually making the identity conflict interesting, with Johnny placing a hit on Ghost Rider in this roundabout way of offing himself. But what is notable is Garth Ennis's Ghost Rider The Road to Damnation in 2005. Garth Ennis helped to co-create the Boys comic, which gives you an idea of the tone and style of this miniseries. Ghost Rider was already plenty violent, Blackout ripping Danny's throat out and all, but Road to Damnation sets the precedent for Ghost Rider to have insane, almost Doom-like gore. Road to Damnation is a rough, nihilistic read, and its tone is my biggest issue with it. Ghost Rider is inherently edgy, but Garth's style of writing is just edgy thing after edgy thing with loads of shock value. There are a couple times where tons of people are killed just for the sake of edge, and when Johnny's there, he doesn't care besides going, "Holy shit!" I don't enjoy watching a kid stab his eye out. Who would?
Hi, I'm the whole Shebang and I approve of this.
Wow, Shebang, what the fuck? Despite Road to Damnation's issues, though, I can't help but like it, or at least be fascinated by it. This miniseries goes deep into the hellish themes that I enjoy so much with Ghost Rider, and the art style does admittedly look gnarly and highlights the insane gore. The book opens with Johnny suffering in hell. Every day for 2 years he's chased down by legions of demons and ripped to shreds. When the visceral nature of this comic works, it works.
There's a tale they tell in the darkest depths of the pit, of a rider melting steel and burning rubber, going hell for leather on those vast black plains out between Acheron and the Styx, torturing the engine, dragging every screaming ounce of horsepower from the banging, pumping pistons, riding for his very soul. For every night they come for him, the worst hell has to offer, the nightcomers and the black pyres, the gutting crew and the mile-eye air cavalry, the womb squabs that swarm like a pus-white storm, the Shining Clan and the Gang of Nine, the Ribbon Kings and the Old Horn Gentry, the Rhymers on their boats of skin, the whole sick crew descend on him and chase him throughout the Badlands, from Judas's neck to drowned Masada, and he rides. Oh, how he rides. For he knows that in those blood-sunk tunnels lies the only road to salvation, the last and final mile that climbs to the light, until only the gates themselves will bar his way. Beyond that point, he is free. And every night, they take him down. They rend and they rip and they tear and they sever. They pound and mash and rape and ruin until all but his soul is gone. They punish him for his sins. And when the dawn comes, they make him whole. And it starts all over again.
Road to Damnation was the first Johnny Blaze comic I ever read, and it hooked me. I read it all in one sitting, and I won't lie when I say no other Ghost Rider series has had such an effect on me. This series also introduces more of the biblical and divine themes that get explored later in Jason Aaron's run. Before I move on, I also want to mention Garth Ennis got another Ghost Rider miniseries subtitled Trail of Tears, but I'll be honest, it's one of the most boring comics I've ever read and it's very overhyped. Road to Damnation was followed up with the defining 2006 to 2009 run of Ghost Rider by Daniel Way and later Jason Aaron. For the first 19 issues, Daniel Way's run is just plain good Ghost Rider, though it does change artists every 4 issues, which feels jarring. But in Jason Aaron's run, it does solidify as holy mother of Mephisto, I thought this guy was supposed to be a skeleton!
Hot dang!
I appreciate how it has a couple times where tons of lives are put in danger, and Johnny actually cares and treats it with severity. Road to Damnation could never. This is also where I finally got a good grasp of Johnny Blaze's character. Johnny Blaze is a fool, with the power to meddle with things he shouldn't. He may look like something completely monstrous and from another world, but he's still a hot-headed biker carny. Also, I want to say it now, I love the dynamic between Johnny and Doctor Strange. They cross over a lot, and it's almost always the same thing, which just feels comical.
Johnny, you can't do this.
I also really like how Way depicts the line between Johnny and the Spirit. The Spirit can fully take over, but it's a last measure, and up until that point, Johnny is in full control even as Ghost Rider. This run also introduces the huge change of the Spirit of Vengeance being a force of heaven rather than hell, an angel rather than a demon. There are some big tweaks to the mythology in this era. Put a pin in that. It's when Jason Aaron takes over at issue 20 and past that where the run gets really interesting. I think it starts out a bit rough with some edgy issues I didn't see the point of, but it slowly begins to come together as we approach Ghost Rider Heavens on Fire. Issue number 25 also features the return of Danny Ketch, and I'm mixed. Danny is used as a plot device and does such insane things it feels out of character. There was a miniseries showing how Danny got to this point, and I do really like this series and think it's a good read, but it still feels jarring to see Mama's boy Ketch slaughtering other Ghost Riders for a corrupt angel. Danny is kinda just miserable for the rest of Ghost Rider history. Anywho, this series introduces tons of Ghost Riders from all around the world. We knew there were others throughout history, but there's so many. Heaven's on Fire's scale is also huge. Johnny and the army of Ghost Riders literally save all of heaven from corrupt angel Zadkiel. But remember what I said about the changes to the mythology? Most of these changes weren't best for the long term. The Spirit of Vengeance being Angel hasn't been touched, and where are all of the other Ghost Riders?
Editing Johnny here. So, actually, the Ghost Riders were all seen in the 2019 Absolute Carnage crossover, and they're all in hell. They were also in Doctor Strange Damnation, which I literally just used a panel from. I originally had a whole section where I complained about the other Ghost Riders not showing up, but now I just realized I was being a silly bean.
But overall, the 2006 to 2009 run is really good. Maybe even the best Johnny Blaze series.
I don't want any of my complaints to overshadow the fact that this is a really good series, and Heaven's on Fire does feel like a love letter to the Ghost Rider character that I appreciated a lot.
The mid to late 2000s was another point of popularity for the Ghost Rider character. Alongside the Jason Aaron run, there was the Danny Ketch miniseries, annuals and specials, and even 2 Ghost Rider movies, starring Nicolas Cage as Johnny Blaze. They're not very good. I know there's a lot of defenders for these movies, and I do enjoy them when they fully lean into the goofiness, but at best they're an enjoyable but really shallow representation of Ghost Rider, and at worst they convinced an entire generation of people who didn't actually read the comics that Nicolas Cage is quote-unquote the only person who can play Johnny Blaze. I'm not a fan caster, but I think if we were to get a Danny Ketch series, Aaron Paul would be a really good pick. Yeah, bitch! I've spent a couple months brainstorming a pitch for my ideal Ghost Rider TV show, and maybe I could make a video about it. I don't know, if you guys would be interested in that. Here's a sneak peek of my Ghost Rider fan film.
Where the hell am I?
I have a dream. I'm here to tell.
God, no, Danny, help me!
Moving into the 2010s, we get the Ghost Rider Fear Itself tie-in in 2011, which introduces Alejandra Jones as the new Ghost Rider. Alejandra is different in that she was trained for life to be the Ghost Rider and acts as an antagonist for the first half. Now, while I hate Johnny's characterization in this book, I really like the philosophical take on sin and how a person without their sin is pretty much nothing. I actually found Alejandra pretty cool. Too bad she immediately faded into obscurity and does not matter at all to the Ghost Rider mythos. After that, there's this gap here. Weird. Anyways, we got a really good Spirits of Vengeance crossover in 2017, then something massive happens in the 2018 Doctor Strange event Damnation. After Mephisto is imprisoned and the Throne of Hell is empty, who takes it but Johnny Blaze himself? Ghost Rider as the King of Hell is an insane and incredible idea. And there's so many interesting directions you could go. Hell, this could be a new status quo for the character for like a decade. Then we get Ed Brisson's run in 2019. I love this run. We see how some demons are loyal to Johnny and some rebel against him, the politics of hell. Book sets up Lilith as a major villain who's trying to oppose Johnny's rule, and unlike in the 90s, Lilith is made to be a character with depth and a history, even getting her own little special comic. Danny is a major character and feels sensible again, being our secondary Ghost Rider and later the Spirit of Corruption. Johnny even gets this sick new design where his jacket has morphed into his skin, and his skull has cracked open to look like a crown of teeth. Being the King of Hell consumes Johnny. The time spent in Hell drives him mad, and punishing demons on Earth just shows him how good this power is. This book opened a whole new legendary era for—
The book got canceled after 7 issues.
I don't want to be here! I don't want to be alive anymore!
Who did this?
Hi, I'm the whole shebang and I approve of this.
I'll kill you, Shebang! Since the Marvel event King in Black was going on at the same time, we just had to get Ghost Rider involved, right? So this run with oodles of potential was hastily concluded in one tie-in issue that had very little to do with the event in question, derailed the plot of the main series, sidelined Lilith, and got rid of Johnny as king. And who's King of Hell now? Mephisto. The most predictable and basic choice because comics will always return to their status quo. Johnny was King of Hell for like 15 issues and 2 years of real time. That is pathetic for an idea of that scale. It is so weird to say that a character becoming the King of Hell is irrelevant. This is another one of my gripes. Ghost Rider seems cursed to never be great. There can be good runs, really good runs even, but I've never read a Ghost Rider comic and thought it was really great. But Ed Brisson's run gave me hope. It was on track to be something really special, but it was cancelled in 2020, and I don't think the character has fully recovered since. We've actually gotten a lot of Ghost Rider lately, maybe even the most we've gotten of Ghost Rider in a 5-year period. Tons of specials, Midnight Suns crossovers, multiple mini-series. Even while I was researching this video, there was a new Ghost Rider vs. Galactus one-shot put out. The most notable GR in years is Benjamin Percy's run, which I think is a really good run despite it kinda meandering in the middle. Though after Brisson's cancellation, Ghost Rider has felt very aimless. Percy's run leans into that aspect, Johnny drifting without purpose, Thunderbolt style.
Hi.
But it also leans into the status quo thing I talked about, where Johnny ends the series talking about how he's destined to always be alone. Like, the real curse of the Ghost Rider isn't that you have a flaming skull, or that you have to punish baddies all day, but that you will lose everyone. I do like this sort of meta-narrative on Ghost Rider, but it doesn't change the fact that Ghost Rider is in a weird position. I also got a Danny Ketch miniseries, and it was very forgettable. I don't remember anything about it. But we also get Ghost Rider Final Vengeance, a series where Johnny loses the spirit of vengeance and a new host for it comes to light. Parker Robbins the Hood. Again, it's decent, though it does end really quickly and puts Johnny in a weird position. I don't think he has the spirit now. He might, but I don't think he does. We've also gotten Spirits of Vengeance 2024, which is to set up Spirits of Violence Coming Never, because guess what? It also got cancelled. Curse you! Curse you! That pretty much brings us up to date, so how about the future? Well, I hope they do more with Danny, since Johnny doesn't have the spirit, or maybe he does, I don't know, because of this one shot. I don't know what's happening anymore. I'm confused, okay? Unless, what if there was a huge part of Ghost Rider history I was completely leaving out so I could talk about it later? Phantasma! Just kidding, it's Robbie Reyes. Robbie Reyes was created in 2014 for Felipe Smith's all-new Ghost Rider, to bring a new, younger, edgier take on Ghost Rider to the focus. I honestly really love 2010's Marvel characters and think they don't get enough attention. Miss Marvel, Silk, Gwenpool, and Robbie are all some of my favorites. All New Ghost Rider was actually my first comic I ever read, so I wouldn't be making these videos if it wasn't for it. Robbie is just the best Ghost Rider. Robbie is really likable. His main motivator is protecting his handicapped younger brother. It's so personal, especially since he's also street level again. It's almost like a second coming of Danny Ketch before Danny followed Johnny into the high stakes stuff. Robbie also does not have a spirit of vengeance. Instead, he's bonded to the soul of a serial killer and Satanist named Eli Morrow. I know I talked smack about the identity conflict, but All New Ghost Rider does it really well. All New Ghost Rider is my #1 Ghost Rider recommendation. I just didn't mention it earlier because I wanted Robbie to have his own section because I love him. Robbie also got a series in 2016, which was mostly just a big crossover for new Marvel characters, like Laura as Wolverine, Amadeus Cho, and Silk. Ayy. There was also an Unbelievable Gwenpool crossover, so this is more reason why Robbie's the best Ghost Rider. Robbie even got an appearance in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and his depiction was decent. Johnny cameos for a split second, and you can see he has a bullet hole in his skull, which is probably a reference to when Johnny got sniped by an evil undead priest in Road to Damnation. I think implying that this happened in a version of the MCU is very funny. After his 2016 series, though, Robbie starts to lose the plot. Robbie becomes a major Avengers character and does crazy things like pilot the corpse of a dead Celestial. Isn't this guy supposed to be street level? Then Robbie is also a major character in Jason Aaron's Avengers Forever, where he becomes the god being the multiversal all-rider and sacrifices himself to save the universe or something. Okay, Jason, I appreciate what you did for Ghost Rider, but keep your hands off Robbie! He ends the series stuck in this void god quarry thing, and he's stayed there since. Maybe Robbie isn't the savior I set him up to be. I'm a little optimistic about Robbie getting more soon. I think it's clear they want to do more with him, with a couple special releases and Robbie being featured in Spirits of Vengeance. I hope Robbie doesn't just sit in this void forever, that would suck. He's also going to be in that new Marvel game, but I don't know what that is. So, where are we with Ghost Rider? A really, really weird point. Between characters getting ignored or forgotten entirely, cancellations or reboots, inconsistency, few great books in a dark present day, you can probably tell how I came to the conclusion that Ghost Rider is cursed in some way. Not just in the stories, but also on a meta level. Also, I neglected to mention them since I haven't read them yet, but Helverine and Hellhunters are both series that are Ghost Rider adjacent and I've heard are pretty good. As for Johnny, Danny, and Robbie though, it's still a pretty dark present day. Despite this though, I really do still love Ghost Rider and see endless potential for more. I don't know what the future holds. Hopefully Robbie breaks out of the God Quarry, hopefully Danny gets an actually good series again, and hopefully Kevin Feige answers the endless emails I've been sending him about letting me helm the Ghost Rider show. I've read endless Ghost Rider in the past few months. I thought I got burned out at one point, but when I stopped reading I started experiencing Ghost Rider withdrawals, culminating in this video. So I thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day and a good night.
Hands on fire.
Okay, I feel like you're gonna use that in your video and slander me.